I want to say welcome to our board members. Also want to say welcome to our startup pitches who are going to be here today. So we are going to go in order. We have a chat box just down below that you can all chat in. If you want to exchange contact details, you can do so right in the chat right below. So I'm Jacita Hagan. I am here with the Startup Club. We host pitch nights and we also host conferences here online and also in person as well. We have a team of global consultants. We all work together to host events. We also have a team of 50 investment connections as well. So tonight we're going to have 3 startups pitching tonight with us. We have Est-set with Roman. And we also have the DoubleWing Health and Beauty with Douglas Andrews. And we're also going to have Selinka with Sasha Hoffman. We also have an advisory panel here today with us. If you can go ahead and introduce yourself. We have Miss Janet Miller.
Hi, I'm Janet Milner-Walker, and I'm the founder of a company called Bespoke Advantage. We are a brand management company based in the UK, and we work with clients across the beauty, spa, and wellness space, and we help our clients to develop and to grow their brands from concept to shelf.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Miss Janet Miller-Walker. Appreciate your time here today. We also have Mr. Madite Moalusi. And we also have Mr. Mike Watson.
Hi, I'm Mike Watson. We're a London-based company. We focus very much in the fintech, blockchain and medtech arena, but we also now add in some degree of beauty, backed with my wife who's got 20 years experience with all the top beauty department stores, individuals, etc., etc. And hopefully, we can bring some funding to the appropriate companies, or at the very least, some great contacts here in the UK, such as Janet, would love to catch up with after this.
And we also have Mr. Ignacio Seguz. And we also have Mr. Eli Jacobson.
Yeah.
Hello?
Hi, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. So I'm Eli Jacobson, based in Tel Aviv. I have a company called Smart Fashion Lab, and we consult, advise, design products connected to the wearable tech, fashion tech, beauty tech, and we work locally, international, with startup organizations, big brands, do a lot of interesting things.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.
Hello, Jessica.
Yes, hello.
Sorry that I was muted and I haven't been able to introduce myself. Nice to meet you, everyone. I am Ignacio from Ritmo platform. We're basically a revenue-based finance platform that invests in e-commerce and marketplaces, mainly in the beauty industry. And we have developed a technology platform where we use artificial intelligence to get to know more about the business of every e-commerce. Instead of banks, we don't ask for warranties or collaterals, and it is quite simple. By analyzing the data of the e-commerce, we are able to provide capital between 30K and 3 million euros to invest in current asset strategies.
Amazing, great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us as well.
Thank you to you.
Okay, so we are going to, if you can also share your contacts as well in the chat, as well as everyone is doing, share your LinkedIn, and also check us out on our YouTube and also our website, and then connect with us on LinkedIn as well. So I want to introduce the 3 startups we have today. We have Est-set with Roman Panin. Est-set is a platform bringing together professional skincare cosmetic suppliers, cosmeticians, and their consumers. We also have DoubleWing Health and Beauty with Douglas Andrews, a unique tech-enabled omnichannel Chinese marketplace for European Cosmeceuticals. And then we have Selinka with Sasha Hoffman, an Australian skincare brand using Photosnell as an anti-aging ingredients. So we are going to start with Est-set with Roman Panin. Let me just confirm that everything is going on with Roman.
Hello, Jessica. Can I share my screen or?
Yes, please. If you can share your screen with us, Roman. Lovely to see you here today. Thank you so much for joining.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, super. Let me introduce myself very briefly. Hello, everyone. My name is Roman Panin. I'm a founder of Est-set platform, the platform that enables the selling of professional skincare cosmetics through aesthetic practitioners. Actually, the entire story began from my wife. She's a professional aesthetic cosmetician with more than 15 years of hands-on experience. And after working so much time in this industry, we realized that after each cosmetic treatment or each cosmetic professional has the problem of recommendation of proper skincare routine to their existing customers. So a part of their core service and core treatment. And the most common way is very traditional. So they can just demonstrate and show like typical cosmetic brands or samples which are available on their stock in their beauty studio, and that's pretty it. From the other side, we also realized that almost all cosmeticians, they are very active on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, when they post a lot of content, stories, recommendations, and so on and so forth. And they usually have very loyal subscribers base following them, waiting for updates, novelties, and so on and so forth. And our idea is actually to provide a solution that can combine the hands-on expertise of these cosmeticians from one side, and to leverage and to commercialize their access to the end customer through social media or physically. And since all these cosmeticians, they have the loyal customers and followers base. And what is our solution? Actually, it's pretty smart and simple. So it's the kind of marketplace where different suppliers, they can upload their cosmetic brands, and cosmeticians, they can pick up interesting brands, interesting items. They can, for example, combine digitally different skincare routine, put item 1, item 2, item 3 together digitally, then put it together, add some manuals or some recommendations, and share it on their social media, let's say on Instagram. And once their followers, they click on it and buy it, we provide the kind of logistic solution. So we put everything together in the box. So we package it, we label it, we deliver it to the end customer, and cosmetician gets commission fee out of it. That's pretty the business model, and our role actually to be a provider of this technical interface between suppliers, cosmeticians, and their end customers, plus logistic part. So we manage all the stuff connected to storage, connected to bundling, packaging, processing, payment, and so on and so forth. This is the common business case and the unit economy that we have. So actually the average price of one of the beauty boxes which our cosmeticians created. So here we have the discount that we get from suppliers. We pay commission fee, starting with 20% to cosmetician, logistics, and the rest is our net margin, net profit. So this is actually the business case for cosmeticians and the main motivation to do that. So for them, it's the kind of personalized sales channel where they can get substantial additional income without investing a lot in purchase, in stocks, in logistic management, in processing, and so on and so forth. This is our traction, what we have achieved. Actually, the last year we have spent on the customer development. So we visited the absolute majority of all cosmetic trade fairs and conferences in Europe. So we gained a wait list of more than 70 suppliers, mostly from Europe, and several hundreds of cosmeticians. So we developed and launched the first digital prototype, showing actually the interface and interaction with cosmeticians, with suppliers, and so on. And this is our traction. Actually, we launched the first sales in February together with 3 chosen cosmetic brands and a dozen of cosmeticians working together. So they created and delivered several beauty boxes. We provided them with the marketing support, like posts on Instagram stories and so on and so forth. And they started selling it. So we are accumulating and gaining the real customer experience. And what is a very good sign for us, we already have the repetitive sales. So the end customers who bought these beauty boxes made by cosmeticians, not only once, but second time as well. So actually we are in active fundraising mode, like can discuss different types and different options for investors, including equity participation or convertible bonds and so on and so forth. This is our projection for the scalability and growth for the German market, since it's the home market for us, German market and the German-speaking countries where we're located and where we know this market quite well. So as to the market and the potential itself, like we estimated as for example, only in Germany, it's about 5 billion market from top down. And if we calculate from bottom up, so only in Germany, we have 100,000 cosmeticians or aesthetic professionals. So huge market, very dynamic, very advanced, and the entire concept could be standardized and scaled up in different big markets and countries as well, like the rest of European countries, Americas, Middle East, East Asia, and so on and so forth. This is the brief overview of benchmarks and competitors in European countries, so showing and promoting the similar concept of social marketing tool for dermatology or beauty industry. Here is our cost of acquisition, since we already tested it and actually gained the real understanding of marketing costs and our strategy. So in our marketing strategy, we rely on viral marketing and we rely on the early adopters. For example, in Germany, it's mostly ethnic minorities, like the cosmeticians who came from the other countries like Turkey, Russia, Arabic countries, Italy, and so on and so forth. We also promote it massively on the social media, like Instagram. Here is our team made of professionals working in the aesthetic industry, in business development, in IT, in marketing, and that's pretty it. So I would be glad to share more details or discuss the comments that you have. You are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have Janet, we can go down in this order. If we can have Janet, then we can have Mike, and then Eli, and then Ignacio. So Miss Janet, if you can please give us your feedback.
I do have a few questions for you, Roman. I think it's a great concept. And actually, it's quite interesting because what we've seen during COVID is a rising trend, which is all about at-home spa as well. So there are more and more consumers, because spas and salons were closed during COVID, more and more consumers are actually wanting to really embrace the whole at-home spa trend as well. So it's great to have products that people can take, apply themselves from their home. But in terms of my questions, so you're looking for funding, did you say, for 150,000 euros?
Yes, exactly, correct.
And where are you going to, what are you going to invest that funding on first?
So we divided in, or we split it in two big directions. So first of all, we would like to develop the technical solution, so the back end for our platform. And here we also follow the smart approach. So instead of building up everything from the scratch, we would like to develop it using the ready-to-use frameworks at e-commerce systems like WooCommerce or PrestaShop or Magenta, and so on and so forth. So the second part will be spent on stock, like the minimum stock that we should agree with the suppliers. Here we have a big space to save the investment, since we don't have to invest in facility, since we plan to work and cooperate with the fulfillment centers from one side, and we can agree and negotiate really good conditions from suppliers. For example, even with these free first suppliers, they're ready to give us better discounts. They are ready to give us installments of payment. They are ready to postpone the payment, even if we place like the micro orders for them, just several thousands of euros. And the third most important part is the marketing and customer acquisition. What we know very well and what we already tested, it's the cost of acquisition from one side, and the second side, the real return and the real efficiency of this acquisition. First part and the first tool is industry events. For example, tomorrow there will be the biggest trade fair in Germany, so Beauty Düsseldorf, and we will be there talking to our cosmeticians, talking to the other cosmetic brands. So we know the budget, we know the expenses, costs, and so on. And at second, social media. So since we promote it using social media, we should be professional promoting ourselves as well. And since the cosmeticians, they can get and they can earn additional income with our help, we also rely very much on the viral effect. So for example, cosmeticians, they're a very interconnected audience. So, and once they're happy, they can spread the word.
Okay, thank you. In terms of your USP and point of difference versus the competitors you've mentioned in the marketplace, what is your key point of difference?
So good question. And at first we have to differentiate the USP for different types of stakeholders. So let me begin with the suppliers. For them, the biggest advantage is that we provide them personalized sales channel. And it's economically very efficient for them. Why it's so? Because in our case, they spend only for commission fee for cosmetician, and that's pretty it. Or perhaps the free samples that they can deliver to them. So normally, every supplier, they have to have huge marketing budget, like our sales representatives, supervisors, and so on and so forth. Cosmetics, it's consulting intensive product. You need someone to be guided, to be supported, and so on. For cosmetician, what is the benefit? That they can like get rid of all this routine, like logistics. Actually, cosmetics, it's spin-off for them. They would like to get much more money from the beauty shots, like the Botox injections and so on and so forth. But from the other side, it's inevitable part of their job. And they are usually asked by their customers, so what can you recommend me, and so on and so forth. So for them, the service that we provide, it's convenience, additional profit without complication. And for the end customer, it's also convenience, because they get customized skincare routine from the opinion leader whom they know in person. They trust them. If we compare our proposal with the existing benchmarks or competitors, for example, Get Harley or Face, they are both from UK. So what is our advantage? All of these guys, they focus on mass marketing. So in the other words, they focus on cold customers. Cold customers meaning huge marketing budgets. And you have to acquire these customers at first. And only after that, so if you won their credibility, your cosmeticians or dermatologists, they can recommend something. Our advantage that we would like to leverage the existing credibility and trust that cosmeticians already have. So another competitor or benchmark, Skin City, they are active in Nordics countries. So they have a more scientific approach. Like they say, we provide medical consultancy or dermatology consultancy. But from the other side, it's limitation, because once you talk about the medical support, it limits you legally, because in this case, you are limited as cosmetician to provide your advices and to be responsible for complication if they happen. In our case, it's not a problem, because it's only superficial skincare cosmetics. Like it's not prescribed medicine. And Jolie Moy, the last strong competitor from France, they are big and they develop very dynamically, but from the other side, they rather focus on consumer, let's say, Instagram-like promotion. And again, it's not a problem to find the influencers like Kim Kardashian, but the problem with the Kim Kardashian celebrity influencers is that they're not responsible for the advices they make. And the second part, they're not professionals. They just show you like the cosmetics they like. It's pure commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, I've got a long list actually, so I'll just pick out a few. Janet actually asked quite a few of them. So let me start with, they recommend certain treatments or creams. Do they test those treatments, or do they have any knowledge about the treatments, or they just say, okay, I recommend you do this?
Yes, sure. They should test it, because in the majority of cases, in order to recommend something, you should be aware of it. And it's the part of the normal interaction which usually suppliers and cosmeticians have. And we have such interface, like what is the starting point usually between suppliers and cosmeticians? So suppliers, they promote some cosmetic brand like that. And cosmeticians might say, okay, interesting. So the chemical compound is interesting. It's efficient. It's novelty. I would like to test it. Please send me samples. The first step, it is. The second step is the different types of education and product training. That's the thing that suppliers usually also do. They provide different types of offline, online trainings, communication, and so on and so forth. So actually we are testing it and we see how they interact with each other.
Okay, good. One more of three. Now, are the actual creams themselves, are they organic? Do they have any paraffins? Do they have any chemicals in them, etc.?
It's up to cosmetician. So we don't limit them because our job is to provide a solution. First of all, IT and technical solution, and at second, logistics and drop shipping solution. So, you know, each cosmetician, they might choose or they might focus on different direction. Some of them, let's say Hollywood celebrity style, they like to focus on the plastic dolls, you know. The other, they prefer to focus on, let's say, biotech or green tech or vegan cosmetics and so on and so forth. And all of them, they have their specific customer groups. Believe me, like there are a lot of customers following plastic dolls approach, and more customers following, let's say, green cosmetics or vegan cosmetics or the stuff like that. Again, it's the part of interaction between cosmetic aesthetic professional and their real customers.
I think it'd be something worth considering is, say, the vegan. Now, cannabis is coming into cosmetics and various type of minerals coming in from Brazil. So I think you being at the forefront, sometimes you need to suggest something to them, because the market, especially the Gen Gs, are moving towards things that are, you know, free from chemicals, etc. So, because thinking of market entry, how easy it would be for one of your competitors to set up, and let's say they wanted to focus on more vegan type and naturally sourced products, which could then affect you. So how difficult is market entry?
I think it's not connected to, let's say, consumer trends at all. It's rather connected to technology that will be our advantage. So what is our advantage of technology? So for example, which type of solution we can provide and develop? How can we protect our IP rights? So, you know, everything starts with creating this beauty box. So how does it usually work? Why it's beauty box in general? Because integral skincare treatment or skincare implies several steps. It's the kind of medical protocol. First of all, cleansing, then preparation of skin to active treatment, then protection. And in our case, we can simplify all these steps with the big data, with the artificial intelligence. For example, cosmeticians, they are lazy. And they create their beauty boxes as they usually do shopping. So first of all, they pick up the most interesting or colorful cosmetic brand. And after that, they connect the other steps, the other types. And that's the field, technological field, where we see a great potential for us. Which type of skincare to recommend to the end customer? It's the choice of cosmeticians. We can just enable the fair conditions for all of them.
Sure. But my question is, how easy would it be for somebody to copy what you've got? Because technology, that's an easy part to get someone to code it, whatever for you. But your business model could be copied, and how difficult would that be?
It could be copied, but the main challenge is customer acquisition. And customer acquisition, first of all, cosmeticians acquisition, because this industry is highly fragmented. It's not a problem to acquire skincare suppliers. So for example, last year, I was able to acquire 70 of them, just showing them presentation and the pitch deck and the first digital prototype. And all of them, they are very motivated. They say, okay, well, what can we do for you? the best protection is your industry inside. And once you have the access to these cosmeticians or their associations, once you know like the legal or let's say mentality landscape of cosmeticians in different countries, you can manage it, but it's not so easy.
Okay, and started close. Okay, then I will finish off with one other question. Your marketing, do you do a lot of marketing yourself? What do you do yourself?
Actually, we're very active in terms of events. Like we're taking part in different industry conferences, congresses, and so on and so forth. It's one part. The second part is social media. So we post stories, post a lot of content on Instagram, and we attract a lot of cosmeticians and their end customers. So it's constant self-driving mechanism. And actually, we know how it works.
One time is fun. What's to stop their cosmetician to go directly to the suppliers and earn a larger margin?
So, sorry, I didn't get the last sentence.
Yeah, they're going to buy from you, but what's stop them to go directly to the suppliers, such as beauty, go directly cutting you out?
I think each cosmetic brand is limited with their brand. And the problem is that no cosmetic brand can cover all the requirements or all the demand, even the biggest ones. They're limited with their brand identity. So the solution that we propose offers a choice to cosmeticians.
No, sorry, what's stopping the clinic going directly to the suppliers?
You mean the type of cosmeticians, or?
Yeah, what's stopping them buying directly?
From suppliers.
Yeah.
So they have to invest money in it.
No, but sure, they have to invest, but what's stopping them? Because they won't get it free, but what's stopping them doing it directly and get a larger margin?
Larger margin, but
Yeah, more
larger
profit.
investment as well. And
Yeah.
you're limited as cosmetician, you're limited only with one or two brands. And usually the biggest brands, they impose these exclusivity rights. And in our case, they don't violate any exclusivity rights, or they don't have to, let's say, purchase the minimum volume a month. They can play with different brands, they can experiment. That's the flexibility that we offer them.
Okay.
And of course, they can get rid of this logistic routine. They don't like
logistics, yeah.
They don't like doing it.
Okay. Right, I'm good with that. Next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Eli?
Yeah. Hi, Roman.
Hey, so we're already was in touch with Eli.
Yeah, so a few questions. First of all, about your margins, I didn't understand on the graphs. You showed that you have sold for 3,000 till today. No, your margins. Go a little back on the slides.
No, it's the business case for cosmetician.
No, more. Go back further, please.
Here?
No, you have some graph of boxes. This, maybe this. This is what?
This is our accumulated turnover. So we started selling these beauty boxes in February.
Okay.
And by now we reached the threshold of more than 3,000 euro. Meaning
but you say you have 500 purchases. So how can 500 purchases you reach to 3,000? It means $6 for a purchase, not
no.
100.
We plan.
Understand.
We need investment to achieve these goals.
Okay.
So far, without investment, we have achieved these numbers.
In how many purchases?
More than 20 beauty boxes. So
Right.
we have 3 suppliers. We have 1 dozen of cosmeticians. They have created several beauty boxes. We provided marketing support for them. They just started selling it manually.
Okay. So first of all, I think it's an interesting opportunity, maybe as a business model for small businesses, that you have said that during the COVID, you know, a lot of small businesses had a hard time to survive, and then they started inventing all these interesting new digital business opportunities, which I think if you can create such a platform, it can be very nice, because like you said, a lot of cosmeticians, maybe they are great at their work, but they don't have the time or don't know the digital platforms, maybe like you do. But now comes the question, if you know they need the loyalty of their customers and the trust, and then you have the design and logistic issues. These are very costly serious issues, because if I understand, if I'm a cosmetician and I want to recommend someone about 3 products, 3 different products from 3 different brands, so these brands have to ship to you, and you have to have a warehouse or assembly line, and then you have to package these things with your brand. I understand. If it would be my brand, it would be better, I think. But this is just
No. We don't have our own brand of cosmetics.
So how do you package it? I mean, it's just the affiliate?
Like that.
Okay.
So, for example,
I understand. So again, the cosmetician, I'm a cosmetician, and Janet is my client. Okay, so I recommended 3 products from 3 different brands, and these brands send to you, and then you package them with your box, with your brand, and send them to Janet, right? So it means you have to take care of all the logistics, the branding, the boxes, the designing, every packaging. It has to have a different size. It's a very big operation.
It's not so complicated. So, for example, this is the typical beauty box, like one size. So usually there are, let's say,
it's a big box. It takes a lot. It costs a lot to ship a box this size.
No. For example, this is the unit economy. Look, so this is the retail price of the beauty box. The price is fixed by supplier. We get our purchase price.
Yeah, I understand.
Our logistic costs consist only up to 20 euros a box.
And where do you ship from?
Mostly Europe. And
but you don't have many logistics centers, because again, I think it's like a beginning of an interesting concept. But if I live, again, if I'm a cosmetician and I live near Janet and she's a few blocks from me, and she comes and I give her an advice, and you have to ship her box from another country, it looks like, you know,
it's not another country. No. It will be the network of logistic hubs in big regional markets. For example, in Germany or German-speaking countries, one center, in France, another one, in Spain, another one, and that's it. Of course, it makes no sense like to purchase a box that will be delivered from Poland to Spain. Yeah. It's nonsense. But we focus on the big markets. What are big markets?
Okay,
it's actually all this country.
So it's a question, I think, of growth. If you still want the trust of your own cosmetician, so maybe she has, let's say, I don't know, 50, 100, 150 clients that really trust her. But as this network grows, they will never have the same personalization relationship with the cosmetician. So I mean, it's like an upgraded affiliate, which affiliate is much more simple. You know, I have my code and I can sell you a product, and then the company will ship you the product, and I will get, who knows, 10 cents, $1, half a dollar, it doesn't matter. But you're taking this service and upgrading it, so I can have my own recommendation with your brand, with your boxing. But this whole logistics is very difficult. very costly just to get all these products and package them and send them again. And then you have the warranty issue. I mean, who takes care of the warranty? You, the brands. It's not 100 or I don't know, $150,000 that you have to raise. It's
what can I
higher.
say, Eli? It's not the pure digital, let's say, business. It's business connected to e-commerce and logistics, sure. But first of all, suppliers are very motivated to support us. They can cover the biggest part of the expenses, for example, input logistic. They can reduce our purchasing price. They can support us in warranty cases and so on and so forth. The only thing that we should do is to provide like one package, for example, instead of like several dozens of separate packages, we provide only one.
Yeah.
And it's delivered to one specific end customer.
Okay. Thank you.
E-commerce, it's not the simple thing, but we know how to manage it. And it works, like with the help of fulfillment operators, with the help of ready-to-use e-commerce frameworks, and what is most important, with the help of suppliers.
Okay, it's not easy, but first of all, I wish you success. And again, I think if it could be somehow also branded by the cosmetician themselves and yourselves, like a collaboration, it would be.
It is branded, for example.
No, I know, but not only your brand. I mean, also if I'm the cosmetician and Janet would get a package that says, this is the package that was packaged by, you know, Est-set, but recommended by Eli Jacobson, beauty policy.
It is written, and it will be shown.
Okay.
On Instagram, for example. That's why actually the end customer, they buy it.
Yeah.
All of these cosmetic items, they're already available online.
Yeah, I understand.
What is the main problem? The main problem is just to define which cosmetic is good for you. And that's why they ask these cosmeticians. They ask for recommendation. They ask for support. And once you trust them, these cosmeticians, it's like the relationships between your doctor and patient. Once your dentist recommends you to follow like simple procedures, I think it's highly likely that you will do it. That's why it's your dentist, not the other one.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you so much. I also want to introduce Madite as well. Madite,
hi guys. Yeah, sorry for joining late. Had a bit of technical difficulties, but glad to meet all of you guys. I know my colleague Ignatius was online, so I think no questions at the moment. But yeah, glad to have joined.
Okay, great. Next is Sasha Hoffman with Selinka. Sasha, are you there?
Jeshita, just one short comment. You can provide the contact details of us, and all of the interested, they can approach us, right? Or
yes, using the chat link right on the side.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you, Roman.
Thank you so much, Roman. Sasha?
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, hi. How are you doing?
Well, thank you.
Awesome. Are you able to share your screen with us?
Yeah. Okay, can everyone see? So hi, I'm Sasha. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share my idea and what I hope to be the next skincare beauty disruptor in the market. So I think to kind of take it a step back, started my skincare journey, hit 30, realized needed to get on top of it like all my friends and family, and was really kind of taken with the high-end market. And a friend got me onto a face cream, which I finally invested in for $300. And then I got to a stage where I realized, hold on a second, this is amazing, but on a rotation of, on a 3-month cycle, it's just the upkeep is not possible for the average person to keep having these kind of high-end products. And I looked to the market and there was just really nothing that was offering me that affordable luxury. And then I thought to myself, okay, so what is my innovation? What's my point of difference? What's my USP? What's going to make me a disruptor in the market? And my sister, who 10, 15 years ago used to have these crazy, funky products sent to our house, and we always used to laugh at her, but she was always ahead of the game. And Korea is where all the trends come from. They're light years ahead, and then they filter into the Western world. And she used to have this snail cream sent to the house that she swore by, that she said was liquid gold, until the brand dissipated because they were having efficacy issues around the snail farming, and they were finding some ooey gooey bits in it. And so I realized I wanted to bring in something that worked in this market, but that wasn't an animal byproduct. And so I was looking at the trends and looking at how, the millennial and Gen Z market are looking for vegan, cruelty-free, sustainable. They're looking at brands that they can trust. They're looking at brands that are doing something in the market that's affecting in a positive manner the environment, and so on and so forth. And so looking at these characteristics, I deep dove into the snail mucin and I tested stuff. I loved it. It's amazing. It works. And it kind of dates back to the 1800s, where the Grecian warriors used to put the snails on their bodies and it would rejuvenate their scars from battle. And so the women realized that, okay, so it's got these obviously anti-aging properties, and they started putting them on their faces. And then there were Chilean snail farms in the 80s that started realizing that when they were handling the creatures, all their wounds from touching the barbed wire and stuff were all healing. And what do we want on our face? We want skin cell turnover, which effectively is anti-aging. And so in my market research, I went out, and snail mucin is now a multi-million-dollar industry that has hit the Western world. Emily Ratajkowska, started working with one of the Korean brands, but the same feedback was coming to me. It's not vegan, it's not cruelty-free, it still has a bit of an icky factor to it. It's gooey, it's slimy, and it's not sustainable. And so I'd like to introduce you to Selinka. I found I had ideas for formulas, but I wanted to own my IP. And I started working with this amazing individual formulator, a scientist, and we found this ingredient called phytosnail, whereby it's pH phyto, so it comes from a plant, but it mimics the exact output of the snail secretion, but it's vegan and cruelty-free, which isn't yet being done on the market. So all these beautiful things that you can see on the slide is what the phytosnail does. So putting that in the reverse engineered luxury formulas at that affordable price point, I was looking at, is phytosnail going to take away from the benefits that people now know, that's common in snail mucin in the Western world? And in some cases, it was actually increasing. They were having skin cell turnover results that were not only mirroring the snail mucin, but were surpassing it, which is very, very exciting. So I formulated a serum and a moisturizer. And for those who are kind of across the skincare market, we know that these can also be a hero pack star that can be bought together. So singularly, the serum is a hyaluronic based. It has 10% of phytosnail. So we measured that out scientifically, what could have, obviously price conscious and watching the GP, what would have maximum impact but not affect the price going off the scale. Everything's for sensitive skin. Everything can be used AM and PM. So a lot of products you find on the market are specifically for under moisturizers, under sunscreen, just at nighttime. This can slot into both. Same with the moisturizer, super lightweight, super high, very hydrating, 10% phytosnell, again for AM and PM. So singularly, the products can be purchased, or they can be purchased as what I like to call the hydration station, the ultimate hydration station package. Looking at the containers, very, very important to me coming to market with sustainable packaging. And so I'm working with this amazing ocean waste plastics companies that are recycling plastics from the ocean. And obviously that works with what we were looking at with the Millennial and Gen Z buying impacts, that they want that sustainable, they want things that are positively impacting their environment from their containers as well as their ingredients inside. I'll cut design mock-ups. So looking at this competitive landscape in all, the last few years that I've been doing the research, there just was nothing in that affordable boutique category. Everything is either lower price point, a bit low efficacy, or you've got that middle price point, which is quite active, which is hard for sensitive skin, which isn't for everybody. And then of course, in the top left, you've got all those beautiful kind of high-end luxury products, which everybody wants to use, but is inaccessible to all. So Selinka kind of sits in that. Selinka sits, what I feel like, on its own in that affordable boutique quadrant. Looking at the competitive advantage, there's no one that's doing firstly vegan and cruelty free, of course, with the phytosnail, and all the competitive serums and moisturizers that we were looking at across from sustainable packaging, fast absorbing, non-sticky, brightens, plumps, everything that we know everybody wants for that glow, we call it. This was testimonials from our first and second round of testing. So this came off the back of, and I've been told that the entrepreneurial journey is a roller coaster. I woke up one morning and thought to myself, how on earth did I get to vegan snail? Have I slightly lost it? And then our round of feedback came in and it just kind of blew my socks off. So was ready to keep moving forward, and I knew I was onto something. Touched on this before. We deep dived into the Selinka demographic, and so those millennial Gen Zs, which are really, especially through COVID, and someone was talking about this before, like people are really investing in that self-care. They're really deep diving. They want to understand their products. They want to understand the ingredients. They want to know that they're investing in getting behind brands that are doing something disruptive, innovative, positive. And working on this, we've got this go-to-market strategy. So looking at that awareness piece, and we're really looking to make Selinka the next, cult beauty item. It's not something that you've seen before. It is a little, vegan snail. It's a little out there, but the formulas are like gold. We know they work. We know they're amazing. And millennial and Gen Zs, our buyers are really looking for things that are different on the market and things that they haven't seen before. Just a little bit about our strategy. So what we're looking for, realistically, we are pre-seed, pre-revenue. So we need 300,000 Australian, which will aim about 150,000 pounds, give or take. And that's for a 12-month runway. So that gets us finalizing formulas through shelf life testing, sensitivity, and all that stuff. That's kind of the end of where my self-funding budget ran out. All manufacturing, distribution, filling, regulatory approvals, certifications, all that lovely stuff that you want to tick and have all the things on side of the pack. Commercial batching, so looking at those 2 SKUs, this allows supply for 12 months, and that's with a sellout runway. Execution to launch for market strategy, big piece in there, obviously, for the marketing budget, which we know, with influencer marketing seeding into hands of influencers and people that are in the space, and obviously looking at that real performance marketing, social media. We're looking to launch on TikTok. We're looking to really disrupt and do something different and get into the hands of the buyers. Looking at what global retail chains look like, channels. So as first, it's D2C. So we've got our own website, and it's going to be direct to consumer, but obviously to grow broader thinking, we're looking at those really big consumer beauty channels that have bricks and mortar stores and they're also online, which we know are really driving revenue for products. this is a lovely look at the team. So really amazing skill sets. We've got Con, who's building out our financial modeling, Stace, who's really on that marketing and comms piece, and I'm focusing on that creative product development. And looking at long term. So launching, obviously, with our 2 hero products and really building out our list of products that we're looking to add to the mix so that we can have a full set and people can start coming to us from start to finish for their morning and nighttime routines. And that's me. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Miss Janet Walker, are you able to give us some of your feedback, please?
Absolutely. So that's really interesting. Thank you, Sasha. Did you mention your pricing anywhere here?
I didn't, because I haven't been able to change it for a UK market, but we're looking, Aussie is about $50, $60. So it goes to about 20 to 30 pounds in that range is what we're aiming for.
Okay, so that's really competitive price points.
Yeah.
So your initial launch is going to be direct to consumer, and in terms of your marketing strategy, you're using obviously social media, influencers, and TikTok, which is a big investment when it comes to particularly influencer marketing.
Yes.
And then that's £150,000 is to complete your product development process and then launch to market as well, and obviously invest in stock.
Exactly. Yeah.
So have you put together a forecast in terms of sales?
I do, in a numbers sheet separate to this.
Okay, so what are you anticipating in terms of your sales?
I mean, we're anticipating with a full sellout for 12-month runway and that initial investment, we're looking at 10,000, an MOQ of 10,000 per products. We've got about 20,000 products. So we're looking at 200K plus with a sellout, and that's for the initial runway, and hopefully sells out and we get a waiting list and do another batch.
Oh, and obviously, so then the cost of that, because you're going direct to consumer and you're not paying retail margins, but it is a big investment in marketing. You reinvest back into the brand to grow the brand.
Absolutely, yes.
And then and your initial sales strategy, is that you're focusing online, but then also longer term looking at retail as well.
Exactly, yeah. Longer term looking at those key retail and also online retail, and probably partnering with those key places who are living in that beauty space, and also the bricks and mortar space where people are still going into store.
What is your background prior to doing this?
Well, this I'm kind of self-taught. I'm actually in corporate partnerships in the not-for-profit space. So this is a side passion that I've been working on for a couple of years outside. And I had some friends in the space, scientists, and I basically went to everyone and said, teach me everything you know.
And the rest of the team, are those full-time people or are they?
No, so I mean, at the moment, again, pre-seed, pre-revenue, I don't have anything to pay them. I was very, very lucky. There were people in my network who came to me and said, we really believe in the idea. What can we do to help? Didn't have anything to pay. So we're kind of working on sweat equity based on an investment and launch to market, but they would have a small percentage of equity to build and grow as we go.
And they come from a very strong marketing background as well.
Very. One is ex-KPMG. He's actually an actuary by trade, now big in the VC space. So growth, ops, financial modeling. The other is ex-Wonderman, high up kind of strategic e-commerce director. And
just looking at your competitor grid, so I know your pricing is very competitive if it's £30 for that particular product. And then if we look at the other brands in that, because there are a number of products that, or a number of brands that have snail serum in them as well.
Yes, absolutely. But none that are doing vegan or cruelty free.
No. Yeah. And obviously that's critical now. Yeah. And sustainable packaging as well.
Yes.
So you don't, so you actually have that space with no competitors.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Thank you. I don't have
Thank
any
you.
questions.
Thanks so much, Janet.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mike Watson.
Oh, hi. Caracol in Spanish. Big market down there. It's called Caracol, which is snail. Huge market in Latin America. So something worth just thinking about.
Yeah.
Nice presentation. I would suggest for investors that should be about 11 pages. We won't read through past 11 unless it's medic. And your pricing is very, very good, as Janet said, because the creme de la mer is roughly 150% more expensive, depending what you're going to buy. Now, if I'm understanding it, you're not using those little snails or anything like that. You're reverse engineering what they produce in a very natural, organic, sustainable source environment. Your packaging, etc., is there. Oh, well, there isn't much really to add because they say it's self-explanatory. Just think of LATAM. For the UK, have you actually been in touch with those companies, Boots and all the big suppliers, Superdrug and other places?
Well, full disclosure, that I'm only 2 weeks in London, so I'm fresh off. They just let me out of my country after 2.5 years. So I'm finally free, and then I got this opportunity, which was exciting. But that's next on the agenda.
Okay, so you're looking to come to London?
Potentially, if the opportunity.
Okay,
presents.
Would be interesting. I could arrange for you to meet up some beauty salons. Who would test it out for you, including my wife, who's an expert. Amazing. And yeah, I think they'll certainly be interested. And she's Latin, so she will know what's the, if it really, really works. But no, figures. You're looking for how much again? Let me just double check because that didn't.
So this is 300,000 Australian, which call it, it's about between 150, 170,000 pounds.
Yeah, well, it's probably 170 now.
Yeah. So, I mean, whatever's going on, day by day changes.
But I can't see how you're going to, that's very small because you need, in my opinion, about 100K just for marketing. I mean, in the UK, which is like the top place for beauty, hair, etc., then the competition is fierce. If you just pop into any store, there's a counter everywhere and they'll have others. So you're talking about huge competition. And I think you're going to need a lot more than that for a 12-month runway, at least double that to compete and to get to be noticed. So I would certainly, look at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just go back to your figures and look at your projections for the next few years.
I don't, and there's no figures on there yet. I'm locked out of my InDesign. I couldn't update it, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. So so I'd, again, cut it down and then get a nice snapshot of your 5-year projections, because that tells us a lot where you're looking to go. Your goals, your roadmap. That's sort of okay. So it's good to look at the 5 years to see how the figures are going to grow, and so on. Now, you say you don't have any competitors that you know of at this moment in time?
Not yet. No one's doing phyto snail. We've kind of found the ingredient.
Great. And how difficult it would be to market entry? So if I wanted to compete with you, how difficult would that be? And what would stop me competing with you?
I mean, that's a great question. It depends who decides that they want to have the manpower. They've got to find the ingredient. We have a very specified batch, which is in the initial investment that we own. And so they would have to figure out and find it and own the IP on that as well.
Right. So if I buy a pot of cream and I sort of got the tech guys to get their white coats on and just find out what it is and reverse engineer it, it wouldn't be as simple as that. Or maybe I could come up with my version.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully we're kind of doing something different in that creative and social space, that we have our own voice.
Yeah, sure. But try and get that money up for marketing, because you need to get there quickly, but safely. And it's not the one who gets there first, it's who gets it right. So use that time to really home in on your marketing, because I think that's going to make a huge difference to stand out in the UK. And some of these shops will want to take it from you for $5, and say, okay, and if you want it on an end display, well, that's another $5. So that's why I'm thinking your biggest cost is going to be the marketing, which I think if you get 150, that's really, really 6 months. You'd not start raising, I would say, really month 3 and try to get $500,000 UK plus, because that's what matters in this business. Doesn't matter what you've got, it's totally down to marketing. And Dermalogica do a very good thing where when she went for a started training, they give the colleges all the ingredients for free. Consequently, you come out of there breathing and eating Dermalogica.
Yeah.
It's not the best, it's not the worst, but you take it directly to the salons with you and you think, well, that's what was taught, so that's what I'm going to use. So they have a really, really good, simple, cheap method because, of making money eventually by training them. What's your profit margins like? What does it cost? And
at the moment, we're aiming GP is around 88%. So cost to make per start to finish, end to end, is about $3.40 Australian at the moment. So I'm working really hard to keep everything under $5 and keep it at that 85 plus GP.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I know Creme de la Mer, they're on 790%. So, okay, they're big, they use different, but you've got to get up into that margin because you'll need it for all the promotions and little sachets of cream, because people like me, I use the Creme de la Mer and I go in there and I walk out with a bag of freebies. So
totally. I mean, I think the goal would be, once I have the money and I can invest in 20,000 MOQ, 30,000, that GP is gonna, I'm gonna go down to under $1 to produce, which is what I'm aiming for.
And Fana, would somebody making this for you in the UK, would that help you a lot?
Yeah, potentially. I'm looking at, now that I'm here, I'm looking into the European market. So I've been guided. Spain and Portugal apparently have really, really high efficiency, low cost production market in this. That's what I've been told. Could be wrong.
Well, if you're in the UK, I'll introduce you to somebody that does a lot of manufacturing.
Amazing. Thanks so much.
Okay, I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Eli, Mr. Eli Jacobson, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you very much. So Sasha, thank you very much for your presentation. I have to tell you that I went through your presentations, and until I heard you, I thought it is a snail-based product because you invented something new that it was without no snails were harmed, but all your branding is around snails. Even your logo has a snail, and you keep mentioning it's a vegan snail. So it's very confusing. And I tried to notice details, and I didn't notice. And I'm sure. I want to say I'm pretty sure, but I'm sure the clients would be confused. So if you're vegan and you have a new formula, which sounds amazing, by the way, so I think you should find a new name, a new terms, because you're creating a new world. If this is the situation and you do have IP of the formula, so I agree with all the questions before, like what about licensing? Why do you want to go with all this trouble of making cost-effective products, but you're new in the market, and if you start cheap, it's very hard to go up if you start with a cheap price. Then if you want to produce cheap, they say if you need to have a lot of money to produce cheap. So I'm a little bit confused by your, let's say, by your brand strategy. There is a big market for substitute molecules, substitute milk and substitute honey and substitute meat, of course. I think it's a great direction, but as branding, I think you should, in my opinion, you should be more clear what you want to do, what you are. If you're new in the market, so it will cost you more money to present a new vegan strategy, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much, Mr. Eli. And now we have Mr. Madite. Mr. Madite, are you here?
I'm here. Thanks, Sasha, for great presentation. I think I just wanted to find out your break even. I think two things. Maybe one, the amount that you're requesting, your product development sounds like you still kind of need more to do. So I think the amount that you're asking, you probably would need to relook at that. I think that could be a bit of an issue, especially when you get questions around when some of the testing that you're still doing currently, and that you're not necessarily ready yet for tapping into the market. Just a question in terms of break even for your D2C. How long do you think that would take?
I mean, we've modeled out up to a 12-month runway, but we can, if we sell out for this forecast, it would be 6 months.
Okay. And then in terms of scalability, I mean, the markets outside of Australia, because I figure Australia is your first kind of market. You in terms of Europe, how long do you think you'd pretty much take to tap into those markets?
Well, it depends. If I'm here, we're going to launch in the UK. So again, filling out the opportunity.
Okay. And then in terms of B2B, is that kind of part of how long do you think that would start playing into your implementation plan?
Yeah, I mean, like definitely in the first year. So we're already having the conversations with some retail chains, some online in Australia when we were looking at launching there. First year, kind of six months to a year, getting that D2C up and running, and within the second year, getting those retail chains on board.
Okay. Yeah, I think there definitely are markets in Europe, Latin America as well. I think your product definitely do well. So I think as Ritmo, when you start expanding into Europe, we definitely would like to, be part of your journey.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sasha, for your time. Thank you. You can also share your content links right in the chat as well. And next up, we have Mr. Douglas. We have Mr. Douglas Andrews with DoubleWing Health and Beauty, a unique tech-enabled omni-Chinese marketplace. Hello, Mr. Douglas, are you here with us?
Unmute. All right, you hear me?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Hi, okay. I gather that I'm in the unenviable position of standing between at least some of you and your aperitivo. So we'll try not to belabor things too much. Let me just kick this off.
Yes, if you just share your screen.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. Right, let's reduce this. All right, can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever. I am the executive chairman and co-founder of this company, DoubleWing Health and Beauty. We are a scalable tech-enabled omnichannel marketplace for European cosmeceuticals in the 10 billion pound Chinese market. We're launching this business as the exclusive Chinese partner of a leading Italian producer of herbal cosmetic, personal care, and nutritional products. We are in the final stages of negotiating another exclusive agreement for 4 additional product lines, which we expect to sign before the end of next month. We have established a wholly owned Chinese subsidiary in Shanghai, have recruited an expert local management team in e-commerce and FMCG marketing. We have opened e-shops on the most important cross-border e-commerce and influencer platforms. And we are taking steps to mitigate the supply chain effects of the ongoing recurrence of COVID-19 in China, which we can discuss if you wish during the Q&A. We are currently planning cross-border product launches towards the end of this year and domestic launches by the end of the first quarter of next year. We are also planning this year to establish a legal entity and an Asian trading hub, in Singapore. The two founders, plus 4 high net worth individuals, have so far invested £700,000 in the company, and we're looking to raise an additional £5 million, either in tranches or as a whole during the course of this year. For UK-based investors, we have received EIS advance assurance from HMRC, and exit strategies for investors will be primarily an IPO, which we envision taking place before the end of 2026, depending, of course, on market conditions. And eventually, we will want to look at a roll-up strategy for selected suppliers. I'll say a little bit more about that at the end of this presentation. Now, the biggest opportunity is just being in this market itself, because it is the largest health and beauty market in the world. It is the fastest growing, it's the most highly fragmented, and it is also in many ways the most accessible. The two pie charts on this slide represent the market in 2020. On the left-hand side are the mass market products, which account for about 70% of the total. And on the right-hand side are the high-end and luxury products. And something which should be jumping out at you from the slide is the fact that the mass market, again, this is the most important commercial part of the market, is far more fragmented than the luxury market, with about the top 10 products accounting for only about 44% market share. Whereas if you pivot over to the luxury and high-end products, the top 10 products account for about 65% of the market. What you also notice is there's not all that much overlap between the companies which are successful in the mass market and those which are successful in the luxury and high-end market. Now, in addition to being in the more important mass market segment, we are also targeting the most dynamic segment of the market overall, which is that of the organic or cosmeceutical products. As you can see on this slide, if you went back 10 years, you would see that it represented only about 5% of the total health and beauty market in China. But you fast forward to our estimate of 2021, and that represents almost 20% of the total market. What has happened in between, is the Chinese government introduced cross-border e-commerce towards the end of 2014. And ever since then, growth has been hypercharged. This market has been growing at a compound annual rate, 15 to 20% for the past 5 years. And over 50% of the growth of this market has come from imports from abroad. Now, the explanation for the Chinese consumer flight from Chinese companies, for Chinese products rather, is sort of personified in this cartoon, which we've adapted from a Chinese newspaper. Essentially, it deals with the problems associated with Chinese production due to environmental pollution and product adulteration and counterfeiting, which has led more and more consumers over the years to abandon domestic products and go with imports. Now, the COVID-19 outbreak is reinforcing these trends. In fact, COVID-19 was actually the catalyst for the birth of e-commerce in China. After the SARS outbreak in 2003, we saw the birth of Taobao and JD, which are today still the #1 and #2 e-commerce product companies. Now, also, we've observed during the first quarter of this year that cosmeceutical sales online have grown by 20% versus the same period of time last year. Now, another factor which is definitely going to expand the market was the decision made by the National Medical Products Administration. This is the Chinese equivalent of the FDA or MHRA, eliminated the animal testing requirement for most skincare and cosmetic products. These were required of all such products until that point in time, and that is what kept most foreign green brands out of the Chinese market. The only way that such companies, such brands could access the Chinese market was through cross-border e-commerce, which is officially speaking, legally speaking, an international business. It is not a domestic business. And therefore, the companies selling products are not subject to regulation by the NMPA. But now that is the last major barrier to entry for these types of products. And we're expecting in the next couple of years, there's going to be something of a gold rush of companies trying to come in, and we intend to host as many of them as we can on our platform. Now, from a marketing point of view, our target consumers are middle-class female consumers between the ages of 25 and 55 who are price sensitive but prepared to spend on quality skincare and cosmetic products. And according to market research, are looking for an environment that is natural, authentic, and based on expert healthcare knowledge. We intend to position our products very simply as European cutting-edge natural materials and with a European official organic certification. The key messages which we plan to deliver are from European seeds to finished products delivered directly to the final Chinese consumer, and revitalized green applications in cosmetics via patented modern technologies. And we intend to use all of, as I said, we're omnichannel. We're planning to use all of the distribution and promotional channels which are available to us. This includes e-commerce portals, both cross-border and domestic, social media campaigns and private traffic pools, live streaming, entertainment marketing, AI tools, and C2C marketing, mobile e-commerce, and from the beginning of next year, retail partnerships, and also eventually a selling website and app, probably from 2024. A couple of words about the management team. My co-founder and I, William Wang, have collectively had decades of experience in global healthcare markets. In my own case, I've been in this business for over 40 years. The first half of my career was spent as an executive with the American pharma multinational Schering-Plough, now Merck. The last 10 years of my Schering career was actually as a general manager for multi-country operations in Central and Western Europe. Now, although our core business was pharmaceuticals, I was also responsible for the sales in those countries of Maybelline Cosmetics, Coppertone sun care products, and Dr. Scholl's foot care products. After leaving Schering, I founded and sold 2 generic pharma companies and 1 medtech company, and I've been working with partners in China for the past 14 years. I'm based in London, and I'm an American, British, and Italian co-national. My partner, William Wang, has worked with me in 2 previous cross-border ventures. He has built strong government relationships, first as senior trade and investment representative of the Western Australia government in China. And before that, he had 10 years of international trade experience. William is based in Hangzhou and is a Chinese citizen. In addition to us, we have 5 colleagues in China, 3 of whom come out of the industry, and 2 of whom are 4 of them, and 1 of them is an expert in e-commerce. I'm afraid I don't have time to present their CVs to you, but for those of you who are interested, their data are in our online data room. So the financial projections, which I'm sharing with you now, are based only on the sales generated by products supplied by our initial supplier. Okay, this is all from 1 company, but as I said a minute ago, we're negotiating to bring several more product lines onto the platform very soon. In any case, we're looking at generating sales of over 40 million pounds by year 5, which may sound impressive, but it actually represents only 0.2% market share of the Chinese cosmeceutical market. Our average gross margins will be over 70% due to the contracted price structure with our supplier. And we expect to generate an operating profit by the end of the 2nd year and of 6 million pounds of EBIT, at least by the end of year 5. And we intend to invest 70% of the funds we're raising in sales and marketing, and only 17% in operations and 12% in corporate overheads. Now, on this slide, I'm just going to present some things to you that are not in our plan, but they are official plan, but they're things that we're looking to do. We intend to become the premier Chinese Asian marketplace for European cosmeceuticals and reward our investors by bringing at least 4 additional European suppliers and dozens of new products onto the Chinese market within 2 years. Establish a trading hub in Singapore for selected Asian markets in 2022, and begin sales in key Southeast Asian markets in 2023. And in longer term, we would like to look at implementing a roll-up strategy for selected European suppliers, most of whom are family-owned and managed small and medium enterprises, to integrate the company's global supply chain. So thank you for your attention. I am happy to answer your questions. And for those of you who are interested, also to provide access to our online data room.
Thank you so much, Mr. Douglas. Hi, Ms. Janet Walker. Are you able to give your feedback, please?
Sure. So, Douglas, that's very interesting. And I know that the regulations have changed in China as well, which has opened up really opportunity for brands to now really enter into the marketplace, which was holding a lot of people back previously as well.
It was, indeed.
From a healthcare perspective, and you come from a healthcare background, I appreciate that. So in terms of regulations, how does that apply when it comes to China, when we're exporting cosmeceutical products from the European market into China?
Well, they have to follow the same procedure now as any other product. The company, and in this case the supplier, although we will be coordinating all of this, has to submit technical files to the NMPA. Now, it used to be that you had to go to the central NMPA in Beijing, which could be quite a time-wasting process, unfortunately. But now it's very good, except for certain types of products. For example, hair dyes, that sort of thing. You can now go to any branch of the NMPA anywhere in China. We've chosen a couple of them in Zhejiang province, which is where my co-founder is located. And our estimate is that this would only take about 3 to 5 months, and for each product would cost about 5,000 pounds, which for those of us from a pharmaceutical background, it really seems like nothing.
And what about the claims that you can make on these products? The claims that you can make?
You cannot make any quasi-therapeutic claims. One of the product ranges we're negotiating with now is actually more skincare than it is cosmetic. But, and we'll have to very carefully modulate to make sure we're not saying, cures acne, does any of these sorts of things. What you can do is talk about mitigation of symptoms is probably the best way to go in these cases. But as far as cosmetics are concerned, there are no limitations whatsoever. And
then in terms of their marketing, because obviously it's a different consumer, there's that to consider.
Yes.
And these brands that you now entering into the marketplace, they weren't selling in China before, so it was completely different marketing strategy in terms of.
Actually, with our initial supplier, they did try to get into China quite a long time ago, and they pulled out. This is an experience that a lot of the very few European companies, I should say, who ventured into China in the previous period, they felt that they were cheated by their partner. They didn't get the kind of results they were looking for, whatever it was, and then they decided to pull out.
So, and then in terms of the business model and the sales channel, so it's sold directly from an online platform, direct to consumer. That's
the first step. Yes. Now, I assume you understand what we mean by cross-border e-commerce. Does everybody understand that? Or does there need to be, if you need me to explain, I'll be happy to do so. Let me know. Because it's a unique thing in China. It's not something you have in a lot of other places.
No, I've actually done work in China as well.
You know what I mean.
So, but also it's very, very, it's a large country, and obviously you've got different tiers in terms of cities as well. So it's from a sales perspective, it's actually looking at the right retail partners and the right retail channels as you expand across the market.
Absolutely, absolutely. And in fact, we are discussing with various different retail chains. And as you know from your own Chinese experience, every part of the country, every region, every major municipality is different. And they've got different retail chains that are very important locally. There's some firms that claim to have national distribution, but that is, we're a bit skeptical about that.
Okay, and then in terms of you're looking to raise 5 million this in 2022, and that 5 million
altogether,
71% of that is going into sales and marketing.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Because it's a huge market, obviously. So
It's a huge market and it's a very competitive market.
yeah.
The general rule of thumb for these types of marketing, these types of products in China is you have to expect to invest as much in the first year as you want to sell. And if you were to look at our P&L, that's exactly what you'd see. They're almost exactly the same numbers. That's partially coincidental because we were doing it on the basis of a zero-based budget, but it came out to be spot on. It's exactly the amount that we plan to sell in the first 12 months.
So from a brand's perspective, when you're taking on board brands and you're selling this to them as a concept, from the time you initiate conversations with them to the time they can actually anticipate selling in the marketplace, what is that time period? Because there's the regulations and registering the products in the marketplace, but also from a design and a packaging perspective, do you need to change any of the labeling or language as well?
That's a very good question. When we begin through cross-border e-commerce, we are obliged to use the original packaging. Okay, so it has to be the same as the company has in its domestic market. And that's why we use cross-border, not just to generate revenues, obviously that's of primordial importance, but also to get rapid feedback from the market in terms of which brands resonate with the consumers. And on that basis, then we can go back to our suppliers and we talk to them about possible redesign of the packaging, particularly for, again, when we pivot away from cross-border and start going into domestic trade.
Okay. Okay, great. Those are all my questions for the moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Janet. Mr. Mike Watson.
Hi, Douglas.
Hello.
I would say as an idea, and we spoke actually a few years ago, the deck is very, very long. It's way too long to engage. You shouldn't be more than 10 pages unless you're medical, because you need to put in the various test steps and results and everything. You won't keep their attention. 10 pages is ideal because you want to get the point across quickly. You mentioned something in Italy. Did I hear correctly? You were having some products made in Italy, or?
Well, what we do, remember, what we do is we sell existing brands. We're not, we're not contracting with manufacturers to make products for us. We go to existing companies and we say, look, we're interested in selling your products in China. And that's how the whole process begins.
Right.
And actually, if I can pivot back to Janet for a second, because I don't think I gave her a complete answer to her question. You had asked about timelines, I think, right? In terms of how long it takes.
I did.
You can actually do this very quickly once you've reached an agreement with the supplier, because you don't have to register the products. What you do have, they have in almost all cases already registered their trademarks. Very few, even those that aren't even thinking about getting into China, just their trademark advisors, patent advisors, if they have them, have told them register in China, and they're right. They were right to do that. So those are already registered, generally speaking. So once that is done, and once your agreement has been made, they can immediately supply you. Now, it may take a while to open your eShop on one of the various different portals, but that depends to a very large extent on who the supplier is. For example, with our initial supplier, which is not very well known internationally, it took us 3 months to convince a Tmall to let us open an eShop in their name. This other company that we're currently negotiating with has an international reputation and international footprint. I'm expecting that will be almost instantaneous, that they will say yes. Okay. In which case, once everything is done, you've started the process. You order them. It normally will take about 2, maximum 3 months to manufacture the products, and then you can initiate promotion. And it only takes a few weeks to get the goods into a bonded warehouse. So it's a fast process. I'm sorry, Mike. I wanted
that's
to
all right.
answer
No, that's good. Good to
thoroughly.
know. Good to know. So you won't be looking to manufacture any products yourselves. You'll just be looking at selling international brands. Okay.
That's correct.
And your revenue to date, do you have that to hand, to date, or the last year or last couple of years?
I'm afraid I have to bring out my violin. We initially launched the products. The company was started in mid 2019. okay? And we were gearing up to launch the products towards the end of 2019. And then you know what happened. You had the Wuhan lockdown, right? And everything had to stop at that point. But before it did that, we had a campaign using the most important influencer platform in China. We got very good feedback. And then we started to sell, but then the curtain came down. So our revenues to date have been absolutely minimal because of that interruption due to COVID, which I'm afraid was I don't know why they call it an act of God, but it was an act of God.
Okay, no, that's fair enough. What's your gross margin?
70%, contractually.
Okay.
Contractually, 70%.
And that is across the board, or are there any variations, whether it's Gucci
We will not sign a contract where we're not guaranteed a 70% gross margin.
Right. Okay. Right. Now, are you looking to do anything, because you're in the UK, which we're close to each other actually, is everything you want to bring from the UK, Europe into China, purely creams, facial cream, anything else you're looking to add?
Well, we're very, we're very opportunistic. Anything that makes a lot of sense from a market point of view. They are mostly creams, lotions, moisturizers, shampoos, toothpaste also, all of those sorts of things. And not so much sun products, because sun products are still subject to animal testing. So we were originally thinking of sun products, but we've decided not to do that. The other thing is in China, sun products are problematical.
Okay, well, that's good for me. So Eli, that's fine from my point. So Eli, we've been waiting a while now.
Don't worry, I'm fine, thanks. Okay, Douglas, so thank you for I agree about the deck. It's very confusing, full of numbers, charts. You should definitely rethink what to do with that. My thoughts are about the competition, because if you're like building a new platform for selling, let's say, the cosmetic, healthcare, whatever you said, but is it in China? Because the timeline you said is very fast, but I know, from my working in the tech world with Chinese market, everything is difficult, and to to build a new platform with the Chinese systems, they have a lot of tech regulations that not all the companies are happy about. Like they do have, it's difficult. It's another world. And then if you pass all these, there are many new competitors, like you mentioned the JD.com, but there is also a VIP shop and CBS and a lot more. So that's my main question about the competition.
I think you must. I poorly expressed, or you misunderstood what we're doing. We are not a tech company, okay, and we are not setting up a rival platform to any of the ones which exist. I've been using the term platform simply to say that what we plan to do and what we're offering to our European suppliers is an opportunity to use our infrastructure in China to sell their products, which we will do initially.
Digital infrastructure, you mean?
Human infrastructure also. You need human beings.
You mean distribution, everything?
Everything. Marketing is the key thing. These products do not sell themselves. You have to put a lot of promotional force behind these products. Now we have expert marketing people on our team in China, and they're the ones who are going to do this, and they will use the technology, but we will use the technology of other companies.
I understand. Because I do know some agencies, like, are you an agency that if I want to enter with my product into China, you'll handle all the headaches around it? So you have other rivals. It's not the digital platform. It's just other agencies that help you enter the Chinese market.
There's an important difference. Agencies, you have to pay agencies. Okay, they don't work for free.
Of course.
And they don't use their own money in order to promote the products. Okay, we are not an agent. Okay, frankly speaking, I mean, we have most of our suppliers are family-owned SMEs, as I mentioned during the thing. Now, we have discussed with a number of them possibly serving as an agent for them And you know something? None of them are interested in that. None of them, because they're not willing to put the money up front to support their brands in China. That's why they come to us, because we're a distributor. That's what we buy. We buy the products from them and we sell them on in China.
So you hold the
that's
stock?
the reason. Yes, that's the reason we have to have a 70% gross margin. And we also have to have very positive payment terms so that we get paid before we have to pay them.
Yeah,
That's the way this works.
Yeah, I understand that it's not easy what you're saying, you know. Everybody, that's what everybody wishes for, to get a good payments upfront and to have cash available, and then, but because you're holding inventory. If you're holding inventory, you're in big trouble. You're not exactly e-commerce if you're holding the inventory. That's the big problem.
The track record of the platforms, we're talking JD, we're talking Tmall, et cetera, is unblemished. The normal pay period for this type of business in China is 30 days through one of the platforms. And from the retail partners, if you've chosen your retail partners well, is about 60 days. And our normal payment period for our suppliers is 90 to 120 days post-shipment.
Okay. Right.
So in fact, our working capital requirement is very low.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
So I'm sorry if the way I presented it was not clear.
No,
I
no,
understand
it's
it
okay.
should have been a simpler presentation.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Mr. Madite Moalusi.
Thank you. Hi, Douglas. Great presentation. Yeah, I think you've kind of heard the feedback in terms of the length of it. So I think maybe if you could consider maybe doing 2 separate presentations, one initial one, and then I think the one that you've given us, maybe for somebody that is more interested, to kind of give them more insight into the business. But very, very interesting business model. Just a question, you spoke about an IPO. Where are you looking at listing that IPO, and how do you think this will benefit your business?
The magic question. Obviously, being a British company, our first recourse would probably be to AIM. However, as I mentioned, we have other geographic interests. So it's certainly not the UK as a market, at least not in the short term. So we would be looking at a number of other possibilities, and I wouldn't in fact, even rule out a US list.
Okay. But ideally, where do you think, would benefit the most?
Whichever market is in best shape at that time.
Okay. I mean, looking at Chinese regulations, China being a great market and kind of, the intricacies that it usually has, how are you going to kind of work around the regulations that do, pop up from time to time, that are implemented by government?
Well, again, the main rules as far as cross-border e-commerce have not really changed since it was introduced now about 7 years ago. Okay, the Chinese government has pretty much kept its hands off of that. So again, regulations from the point of view of just getting onto the market without having to go through the drug regulatory process, which is the NMPA, is very simple. And quite frankly, that's the reason we chose to be in this market, is because the entry barriers are very, very low. Now, there's no guarantee, it's true, there's no guarantee that as we go forward, the NMPA may decide that they want to reimpose or make new controls over certain types of products. But that's impossible to predict now. And we think it's highly unlikely, but you can never say never, huh?
Okay. And have you looked at kind of secondary markets, just outside of China as a way of, kind of de-risking,
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, we're planning to have a legal entity in Singapore starting later this year. Okay. Now, that will have, the purpose of that is twofold. One of them is we want to transfer the ownership of our wholly owned subsidiary in China from the UK to Singapore. That has both political and financial benefits. But we also want to use that as a trading hub. And we're already in discussions with potential partners in Malaysia, in Indonesia, in the Philippines, and in Thailand. And we're in very early stages of discussions with some in the Gulf.
Okay.
So you're absolutely right. We want to de-risk this.
Yeah, no, it's very, very important. Yeah, I think looking at Singapore definitely is a good market to be in. I think the hub model definitely is something to really pursue. I mean, you've got a lot of family offices as a network there, which could benefit you, and even potentially looking at I mean, listing kind of even in the market as well. So I mean,
yeah,
definitely a lot of potential to look at. Yeah. All right.
Good.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Douglas. Thank you so much for your presentation. Thank you to all of the startups. Thank you so much for all of your pitches. And now we're going to have our round table. I'm asking all advisors or any of the board members to come on and share your general advice for our startups here today. Miss Janet Walker.
In terms of general advice for the startups specifically here today?
Yes, because we have some in the audience.
Oh, okay. Well, where do I start and how long do I have? Well, actually, so at Bespoke Advantage, we actually work with clients all the way through from pre-startups to well-established beauty and wellness businesses. And we also work with retailers, and we do work across international markets. So in terms of advice, I could spend a lot of time talking about this, but I think as a startup, the important thing, particularly in the beauty industry, to remember is there's really three key elements you need to focus on. I know there's lots of things that you need to do in your business, but the three most important things to focus on is obviously the product. The product needs to deliver what it says it's going to deliver. And around the product, there are so many different considerations, some of obviously what we've discussed today, from sustainability to really looking at certification of products, to thinking ahead in terms of trends as well. But when you're starting, it depends on how much you have available in terms of funding. So don't think about investing in too many products at the same time, because what you need to do is test those products as well. So testing is important, which brings me on to the second point, which is really marketing, because marketing isn't, people forget how expensive marketing is. And it's very easy to run out of funding very quickly when it comes to marketing. So particularly when we're talking about online marketing, a lot of brands think that actually because they're not going into retail, not spending a lot of money in retail margins, that's favorable, and it is favorable, but it's a very competitive space, and it's become a lot more competitive, particularly during COVID. And when we're looking at things like influencer marketing, influencers come at a cost. So you really need to be very clever about how you invest your money in marketing. And then the third bit is obviously routes to market. So what are your routes to market? A lot of people start direct to consumer, and then they start exploring export markets as well. So, but that can also be very expensive. So you need to have the right partners, particularly when you're looking at the US market and some of the larger markets. So it's all about having the right distribution partners in place. And part of that is obviously when you're selling is managing your stock levels, because you need to invest in the stock to buy the stock up front. Then of course you need to sell the stock, and a lot of retailers might give you payment terms of 60 days to 90 days or even longer. So those are the three things we always focus on. We always focus on obviously the products and making sure the product delivers, and you understand who your competitors are and your point of difference, and your pricing and your margins. Understanding obviously your marketing, what is the right marketing strategy when you're starting up in the earlier years, and then managing that sales process and your stock levels very carefully.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, Ms. Janet Walker. Mr. Mike Watson, are you still here with us?
Yes, I'm still here. I think, Janet, are you reading my notes? Because actually everything I was going to say, you said, which is great, absolutely fantastic. I may just add a couple of points. I think they should test the products with a few salons Not just create it and think, oh, that's great, I'm going to go out there, test it with a few salons to get feedback. Research is very, very important. We need to see our competitors, and many of them think I've got the best product and don't realize there are thousands and thousands of beauty products out there. Next, as Janet mentioned, marketing. You need a lot of money to market these products. People buy often what they've remembered or what they saw on television or something last night. Think, oh, I saw that, and you'll be buying it without thinking about it, as well as just friends telling you about it. So the marketing budget needs to be a good, in average is about 40%, but I think in this case it needs to be 50 to 60%. And what Douglas said, 70%, is what he's going to require. So he's certainly got that right. But unless you've got at least launching a new product like that, £10,000 per month. If you don't have that, leave it. You'll die and have wasted all your money. Not because your product isn't good, but it's the one that shouts the most that gets the sales. Other than everything that Janet said, no, nothing else I could add to that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Watson. And Mr. Eli Jacobson.
Yeah, thank you. So Mark, maybe you've been reading my notes, I wonder. So, you know, but of course I agree with the marketing. I think the raising valuations here are low. I'm based in Israel, and the valuation and the money raising here is going crazy. So you have to you have to know your numbers. It's a tough market. I think the whole beauty market and the fashion tech market has completely changed the last 3-4 years, especially with the COVID. I think you have to think of brand partnerships. I think the best example today is Revlon, the huge company that exists for I don't know how many years, lost 50% of their valuation, just terrible. And on the other side, you see, the Kardashians, I think, are the best example that in a few years they're worth more than most beauty companies together. So I think partnership, brand, think of your brand, present something new. Even if you have a great product, you have to know what's going on tech-wise, how to use your AI, how to use your BI, how to know your clients, how to give them the best service you can. Because even if you go to big brands, I think you'll find them a lot more open than what they used to be 10 years ago, because they are clueless like us and looking for new ideas. And a good product is not enough, but a good way to know that a new way to know your customers, a new way to launch your brand, and new values. It can be sustainable, it can be vegan, everything is good, but not just the product, it's the whole system around it that you have to present something new. And that will be, I think that will be the new market. Just seeing really good client relationship, transparent relationship, good value, good trust. So work on your brand. Maybe that's the conclusion.
Let me just add one very quick thing. I'm just going through a bag of goodies that arrived. You probably can't really see, if you can see this one. But anyway, I'll read it. It's anti-age face cream. Not quite sure why they gave that to me. It says, regenerates your skin thanks to the extraordinary active principles contained in brown rice sprouts. I never thought about rice and beauty, but here you are. And this, I mean, the bag's too many of them, and they're giving out all these things. So this is just something else that just appeared, to me in the last 24 hours. Just remembered it. So another example of all the freebies you need to budget for that can take up a huge amount of your marketing. When you're over here, Sasha, I mean, you just pop into, well, Arrows, John Lewis's, or any of them. Give some time and I'll take you into some people I know there, and you'll walk out with a bag of samples.
Amazing. Mr. Madite Moalusi.
Thank you. Yeah, so I think my fellow panelists have touched on a lot of very, very important things to look out for, marketing being one of them, because definitely marketing, especially in kind of the beauty tech space, plays a very integral part in terms of getting your brand and product out there. So I think you guys would need to kind of think about scalability of your business and your brand. You know, how, you know, are there different markets outside of your initial market that you're thinking of? Because that is always very, you know, enticing for any investor that would like to get involved, and they would like to kind of know that you've done your research to understand, you know, the value, you know, that you will bring, you know, for your product or products to be involved in those markets. I mean, I think the beauty now is that you have, you know, technologies like NFT and crypto. So you guys would definitely need to think about how to integrate those in your business model. I think, you know, there's a lot of niche ways of attracting market share away from kind of all the big players, for yourself, you know, so that you get interest from the market as well as investors as well. So I mean, we definitely look forward to engaging with you know, a lot of beauty tech startups. As Ritmo, you know, we're definitely looking out for startups that are looking for you know, growth capital for their businesses. So, you know, if you're in the UK, Spanish, French, you know, Netherlands market, or even Mexico, definitely do hit us up and let's see how we could help you grow your business. So thank you for being part of this, and thank you for everybody that was involved today.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much, everyone involved. Thank you so much to the audience. Thank you so much to our board members, and thank you so much for our startups here presenting their pitches today. Thank you so much for joining. I'm Jacita Hagan. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Have a great one.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining. Bye-bye.